a video about how I designed and built my own mattress and how you can do it too. Some people watched my previous videos where I've shown some mattress materials that I bought, some rather unique materials that have recently made it to the market. And these people ask me questions in private messages like, should I buy this, should I buy this, is this better, etc, etc. And they ask a lot of questions, like a lot. So I mean, it's not a lot of people who ask them questions, but the people who do ask the questions, they ask hundreds of questions. So I told them that I'm basically just gonna make a video and lay everything out so that I don't have to explain everything to everybody all over again. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Why would you want to make your own mattress? Why not just buy a mattress from the store? Well, there's two reasons. One reason is you can customize it to however you like. In the store, it's basically whatever they have, and that's it. And the second reason is that the way mattresses are priced in the store is that you get some basic mattress for maybe, I don't know, $1,000 if we're talking about a foam only mattress without any springs or stuff like that. And then when you are looking at upgraded versions of this mattress, the prices begin to rise very quickly, even though very little is changed. So let's say you have a 12-inch mattress for $1,000. So how much would a 15-inch mattress from the same line cost? You're probably guessing, well, if the 12-inch is $1,000, so a 15-inch will probably be like, I don't know, $1,200. But no, it would be like $5,000 because it goes up exponentially with the quality. So as the mattress gains a little bit of extra, comfort or quality, the price goes up exponentially when you buy it in the store. But when you make it your own, to make a 12-inch mattress into a 15-inch mattress, $300, extra $300. So this is where you can really save money. You cannot really save money by doing your own mattress, which competes against budget mattresses, because on the budget mattress is already competing on price. But the better mattresses, like the, let's say, Tempur-Pedic Grand Bed, which mattress I think the MSRP is like $8,000. Those mattresses don't compete on price. They compete on basically their claim that they're so awesome. But you can make your own mattress that's just as good for $2,000. Or actually it's going to be much better, because Tempur-Pedic is made out of synthetic crap, and you can make your own out of natural materials. So those would be the reasons. So basically, I would say if you can find a mattress in the store that you are 100% happy with, meaning it's completely comfortable for you, and also you feel confident that it's going to be very durable, and it costs less than $2,000, I say just buy it. Forget about making your own mattress. But on the other hand, if you go to the store and nothing you see there is quite what you want, some are too firm, some are too soft, and maybe the only one that you really like is like $5,000 or more, well then and also if you like to design and build stuff, maybe you're a hobbyist or an engineer, well then, this is a project for you. Then you should go ahead and make your own. Okay, so how did I start with my research? I probably did like 100 hours of research and took like 3 months to build the mattress. So it's a lot of work. So the main two, I guess I used 3 main resources. The first one is sleeplikthedead.com, and it's a mattress review site which aggregates information from the web, and it uses real user reviews, and it just basically compiles them into statistics. So it has information like, well, this type of mattress is 85% of people like this type of mattress, and this type of mattress 60% of people like. That's the format of the site. The second site that I used is mattressunderground.com, and that website uses a different format. It's basically one guy and his personal opinions about everything. So it doesn't really reference any kind of user feedback, it's just what he says. Like in all fairness, he doesn't know a lot, but also he's not completely fair and balanced, to say the least. So, there are cons and pros to those two sites. And finally, the third resource that I've used is a PDF series I think it's called In Touch, published by the Polyurethane Foam Association. And this manual doesn't really tell you anything about mattresses at all. What it does is it explains various properties of foam and what kind of properties you should be looking for in foam. So when you're buying foam, it will help you if you know those things. So obviously the first thing you have to do is decide which type of mattress you want to use. I started answering this question by going to sleeplikethedead.com, and they have a real good table which shows the ratings of various types of mattresses and the cons and pros of each type. The mattressunderground.com also addresses this question and discusses different types of mattresses. Both are useful. If you go to sleeplikethedead.com, the types of mattresses that they list are latex, memory foam, air, water, inner spring, and futon. Futon being this little piece of foam on a folding piece of shit frame that most college kids sleep on. But the amazing part is that futon actually slaughtered the inner spring on the ratings. So on the sleeplikethedead.com, the inner spring ratings of like how many people actually like this type of bed is so far behind every other type of bed that it's not even funny. On the other hand, if you go to the mattressunderground.com, this guy who runs it, Phoenix, who actually is anonymous, he hides his name and he registered the website privately because he doesn't know anybody. He doesn't want anybody to know who he is. But anyway, so he calls himself Phoenix, and he actually peddles inner springs and says that inner springs are absolutely valid and good choice, which is, in my opinion, total bullshit. But he represents some stores who pay him and who sell inner springs, so he says that inner springs are good. My personal opinion is inner springs are worthless. And the user feedback on sleeplikethedead.com agrees with me. So futons, of course, are not a serious choice as well, because they're not even designed to provide comfort. They're just designed to offer a cheap folding solution that you put in your dorm in college. So those two are obviously out. Next up, you have the air and water beds, and those actually score comparable to real mattresses. They're just a little bit behind memory foam and latex mattresses. But in my quest, I eliminated those two as well. Basically, when I analyzed them more deeply, I realized that at the end of the day, they have no real advantages other than the possibility to make them cheaply. For the factory. You can buy an air bed for like $100. Not a good one, but you can buy an air bed for $100. You're not gonna be able to find an all latex bed for less than $1,000 ever, guaranteed. So that's obviously an advantage. Also, like a water, the bladder for a water bed you can buy for $100 as well. So it is understandable why people still try to make those types of beds, like air and water beds, because there's a great possibility to profit there, because it uses almost no materials. They're selling you air and water, right? So that's why they try to do it, but really when at first it thinks like, wow, it's so brilliant, it distributes your pressure, but when you really analyze it, no, it's fucking dumb. So forget it. And well, you might be thinking, but they score on user satisfaction scale almost identical to latex and memory foam. I mean, air and water score like 78 and 79% satisfaction, and latex and memory foam score like 80 and 81, or maybe it's like the numbers are different. Hold on, let me just check. Yeah, the numbers, I got the numbers right. Okay, so basically the numbers are close. So what's my justification for saying that memory foam and latex is so much better than air and water beds? And the reason is that in latex and memory foam beds, there is a great spread from very good ones to very bad ones. There's a big difference between good and bad ones. And in air and water bed, there's not so much spread. I mean, a water bed. I mean, I didn't really do serious research on air beds, because to me, just the idea of sleeping on an air bed is just retarded. I don't want to bounce around like a basketball. So, but I did look into water beds, and in water beds, a water bed is pretty much a water bed. I mean, there is going to be differences between different models, but pretty much you know what you're getting. While this is not the case with something like a memory foam. With memory foam, you have no idea what you're getting. It can be total piece of shit, or it can be awesome, depending on how well it's made. So on the average, memory foam may be scoring similar to water beds, but we don't want to consider average memory foam mattress, because we're not going to be making an average memory foam mattress or latex mattress. We're going to be making a good one. So if you look only at the good memory foam and latex mattresses and compare them to water beds, hands down, the foam mattress, whether it's memory foam or latex, is going to win. This is why at first I eliminated futon, springs, water and air, and I ended with having basically two choices, memory foam and latex, but to go with for the DIY project. But let me explain a little bit more in detail what these two types really are, because it's really more than two types. Now, something has 2 inches of latex on top of a foot of regular foam, it could already be called a latex mattress. Or if something has 2 inches of memory foam over a foot of regular foam, it could be called a memory foam mattress. And often that's exactly what happens. So when they do this rating thing of like which on sleeplikethedead.com, when they rate the types of mattresses, they also have a separate scale for mattresses which are made of entirely latex, not just on the top but all the way to the bottom. And this, not surprisingly, category of mattresses completely pulls away ahead of all other types. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's like way ahead of all this air and water and everything else. But of course, this is also the most expensive type of mattress to build. That's why you're most likely not even going to see this type of mattress anywhere in the store unless you specifically look for it. The one brand of completely latex mattresses that you can actually test out in the store is called Pure Latex Bliss, and I had to drive about 30 miles to Long Island to test it out, but I'm glad I did, because it was like enlightening experience. It's completely different from anything you've ever tried. It's sort of like foam, but it makes you feel basically weightless when you're on it. So when we're looking at mattresses and material that is made out of, usually the cheap materials will go on the bottom and the good materials will go on the top. And you could even have 3 different materials in 3 different layers. So we can think of a bottom foundation layer, and then a medium layer for spinal alignment, and the top layer for comfort. So you could theoretically have, let's say, a comfort layer made out of memory foam, and the medium layer, the spinal alignment layer, made out of latex, and the bottom foundation layer just of regular foam. So this Phoenix guy on the Mattress Underground, he has his own theory of what's the proper way to design the mattress based on like which layer should do what for you and which materials are best for which layer. I don't agree with the way he analyzes it. You can read it, but I think he oversimplifies it, and I think he might be biased because he needs to justify spring mattresses somehow, so he adjusts his theory in order to accommodate spring mattresses. But in fact, spring mattresses are never comfortable, so his theory is bullshit in my opinion. So I'm just gonna give you my theory on how this should be done. So if you conceptually think of 3 layers, the top, medium, bottom, top being comfort layer, medium, the top comfort layer is, let's say, 3 inches, the medium alignment layer is, let's say, 6 inches, and the bottom support layer is, let's say, or foundation, not support. The medium would be alignment and support, and the bottom would be a foundation of, let's say, 3 to 6 inches layer. That's my philosophy of how to do it. So the bottom layer is something that you could actually use cheap regular polyurethane foam for, as long as it's very firm, and it's not gonna do anything for you when you sleep at all. It's just gonna be there like a surface. But on the other hand, if you, let's say, if you sit down on a bed, or if you walk on a bed, or if you engage in some sort of activities on a bed where you're on your knees or something, you might actually feel these bottom layers. But when you sleep, you're gonna be floating on the top layers of foam, and you're never gonna feel the bottom one. But if you're on your knees or something like that, you might feel the bottom one. So that's the bottom layer is the only one I would really suggest you might use regular foam for. I wouldn't recommend regular foam for any other layer. Now, as far as latex versus memory foam, here's the thing, is that there is no such most people don't understand this. In fact, when I went to sleep, even the salesman didn't understand this, but memory foam mattresses are never made out of memory foam. Memory foam mattresses always have memory foam only in the top layer, sometimes in the medium layer, but never in the bottom, because memory foam is simply not firm enough for the foundation. On the other hand, a latex mattress can be in any basically configuration, because latex is so flexible a material. It can be used for any part of the mattress. It can be used for the bottom, medium, or top, or all of them. So if you're making the mattress yourself, your choice isn't really latex versus memory foam as on the mattress as a whole, but for each layer the choice is separate. So top, medium, bottom layers. For the top layer you could use either latex or memory foam, and I would highly recommend against using a regular polyurethane foam for the top layer, because it basically makes no sense. The quality of polyurethane foam isn't good enough for any application in the top layer. Even if you're making a very cheap mattress, you could still put something better on the very top layer. Now on the medium layer, Tempur-Pedic has their own proprietary foams which they can use on their very high-end, the most expensive models. They actually have materials that they can put in the middle of the mattress, and this material still be a memory foam. However, such materials are not available to the consumer, so there is no memory foam suitable for the middle part of the mattress, and none of it is supportive enough. So the choice for the middle part is it's either regular polyurethane foam or latex, and of course if you can afford latex, go with latex, because latex is just better in every way. For the bottom part, again, you have a choice of regular foam or latex. In this case, I would still recommend latex, except maybe for the bottom, like 2 or 3 inches. I would still recommend latex all the way down, except for maybe like the very, very bottom, like 2 or 3 inches. I would recommend you go with latex if you can afford it. However, on the very bottom, the part which is basically sitting on a piece of plywood or whatever you have on the bottom, that's the part that matters the least. And you can actually use regular polyurethane foam over there and not suffer any sort of consequences because of it. However, in order for this polyurethane foam on the bottom to be supportive enough to support your weight on the top, it will need to be very firm, and it's pretty much not gonna do anything for you when you sleep. It's only gonna be there for you if you're walking on the bed on your knees or or standing up or something like that, pillow fight, whatever. Otherwise, it's just not gonna do anything, and this has to do with the way different foams perform. So now I'm gonna talk about how the 3 types of foam compare: the regular polyurethane foam, the latex foam, and the memory foam. There's actually a fourth type of foam, a memory latex foam, which I'm actually using and which I recommend everybody uses, but it's not, pretty much nobody even knows about this type of foam, so I'm gonna leave this one for the end. For now, I'll just talk about the 3 common types. So latex foam was the original type of foam. It's basically you have this rubber tree. It only grows in certain places, like it doesn't grow in the United States. And actually the problem is that the places where this rubber tree grows actually don't have the manufacturing equipment to produce the latex foam. So I guess you have to cut the bark of this rubber tree and collect this sap. Well, some people say that technically it's not called sap, but it doesn't matter. You cut the bark of the tree and it drips a juice or sap, which is like a milky white liquid. It's collected into little buckets. Then they transport the stuff into United States, and here in the United States they make latex foam out of it, because actually the process is, like I said, it's too complicated for the natives of those islands where they collect this sap. Basically they blend this stuff with water and to make foam, and then they just cook the foam, more or less. I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but basically they cook the foam until it becomes hard, and that's it. So it's this would be called Dunlop latex. And there's also another process called Talalay latex, which is an advancement over the Dunlop process. The same basic idea. They start with the sap, but the key part of the latex process is that before they cook this foam, they freeze it, and by freezing they achieve something. The main difference between the resulting product of Talalay and Dunlop is that Talalay is lighter. It doesn't use as much material. There's more air in it, so it can be compressed more. But that's not the important part. The important parts are the cell structure of the foam is more uniform. Well, this is not always desirable, but that's what you get. It has a more uniform cell structure, and probably the main advantage of this Talalay process is that the cells of the foam are larger, and the openings in the cells are larger, which means that it can flow more air, which is very important for your bed. I mean, how cool your bed is going to feel is gonna depend on how much air can pass through the foam. So Talalay latex has larger cells with larger openings than Dunlop latex, and also pretty much larger than memory foam. So when you consider the materials as well as regular polyurethane foam, but polyurethane foam, as I said, is not even suitable for the top layer, just not high enough quality. The only materials you would consider for the top layer are, Dunlop, Talalay, and memory foam. However, as I said, Talalay beats Dunlop for this airflow thing, and actually it also beats Dunlop for comfort when it comes to the top layer. I mean, you have to, as I said, consider it layer by layer. For the bottom layer, Dunlop may be the best material you can have, but for the top layer, the additional airflow as well as other properties of Talalay make it superior to Dunlop for the top layer. And also the greater airflow of Talalay over memory foam will make your Talalay bed cooler to sleep on than memory foam. So keep that in mind. As I said, the cell structure is more uniform on Talalay than Dunlop, and I said that sometimes that's a bad thing. What I mean by that is that when the opposite of uniform cell structure is random cell structure, and sometimes random cell structure is exactly what you want, because random cell structure produces greater progressive resistance. When you compress the foam, the big cells collapse easily and collapse right away and easily, but the smaller cells, they resist collapsing until the very end. So when you have a cell structure that is random, you get a foam which is soft on the surface, but you cannot bottom it out because there's always some small cells that are just too dense to collapse. This is what you have with Dunlop. Dunlop has a so-called, I'll explain it later how it's measured, but it's a support factor of 4. Regular foam has a support factor of 2. Talalay has a support factor of about 2.5 to 3, and Dunlop is close to 4. So it offers the most support, and what that means is that it's most difficult to bottom out Dunlop. So Dunlop latex makes the ultimate material for the base of your mattress. Of course, as I said, the base is sort of the least important part of your mattress in terms of the quality of material. The base is where you can save money by using cheaper material, but if you want the best, you would probably put Dunlop on the bottom. Okay, so that's latex foam. The next one is the polyurethane foam. Polyurethane foam was developed because latex foam is so expensive. Latex foam is expensive because there is only so much of this rubber tree sap that you can collect. I mean, that's for one thing. That's the main reason why it's expensive, is because you can only collect like a certain number of drops before it stops flowing from the tree. So each tree produces a certain amount of the sap per week, and this is while polyurethane foam is made out of oil, and you can get like millions of gallons or barrels of oil. So even though maybe oil is not infinite, but it is compared to the amount of rubber tree sap you can produce, oil is infinite. And polyurethane foam is made out of oil, so it was developed as a replacement to the latex foam because it's cheaper. But it's not simply the availability of oil that makes it cheaper. It's also the fact that polyurethane foam has lower density than rubber foam. By rubber, I mean latex foam. Polyurethane foam will typically have a density of about 1.5 pounds per square foot, while latex will typically have 3 to 4 pounds per square foot density. So even if the raw materials were the same price, the simple fact that it takes about 2 or 3 times more rubber to make foam than it does of polyurethane to make polyurethane foam is why latex is another reason why latex is more expensive. So polyurethane foam is the cheapest kind of foam, and it's also the worst. But of course, this is subjective on a certain level what is worst. But I'll tell you why you can pretty much generalize that polyurethane foam is the worst. In this journal, the PDF journal of the Polyurethane Foam Association, there is an article where they compare the properties of polyurethane foam to latex foam, and they say, and pay attention, this is the Association of Polyurethane Foam, and this is what they have to say about polyurethane foam. They say that the best polyurethane foam can approach the quality of latex foam, but never match it. So the people who make polyurethane foam admit that polyurethane foam can at best only hope to approach the quality of latex foam. So don't be fooled into thinking that, latex, it's old school, like 100 years ago people were using it, but now we have this polyurethane foam. No. Latex is still latex, and polyurethane foam is still cheap imitation. And this is why, like, if you want to get seriously into this, you read this document. As I said, it's called In Touch, and they go through all the parameters of the foam. That there's like dozens and dozens of parameters of foam which they measure to test the performance, and in every single one parameter, latex destroys polyurethane foam. Even the best polyurethane foam cannot match latex on any of the parameters. Across the board, latex kills it. So, of course, latex is much more expensive, but if you can afford it, okay, this is a true story. I read about people making latex mattresses for their dog, or their 2-year-old child, or some shit like that. Obviously I wouldn't make a latex mattress for my dog, but if you're making it for yourself, you might as well use latex. It's your back or whatever. Anyway, so the third type of foam is the memory foam, and memory foam is actually a type of polyurethane foam. So right there you may be suspecting that maybe it's not as good as latex, and it's not. But memory foam is an improvement over polyurethane foam, but it's not an across-the-board improvement. It was developed, as the commercials say, for NASA, but that doesn't mean that it's so super advanced that you're gonna have great sleep on it. No, that's not what it means at all, because you're not going into space, you're trying to get sleep. It's a very different application. What memory foam is good at is absorbing vibration. The memory, also known as hysteresis, it means a quality that absorbs vibration. When you're going into space and the whole spacecraft is shaking, you want to absorb vibration. You don't have that problem when you're asleep. So yes, NASA did invent this foam. It is good for spaceships. It's not really that good for beds. However, it does still have advantage over regular foam for beds, but the main advantage is not because it has memory effect. People are so obsessed over the pushing your hand into the foam and measuring the memory effect. That's not really the advantage of memory foam. The memory effect is a side effect for your bed. For a spacecraft, memory is the desirable characteristic of the foam, but for your bed, it's only a side effect. And actually, the main benefit of memory foam is the density. Like I said, regular polyurethane foam is about 1.5 pounds per cubic foot. Good memory foam is 5 pounds per cubic foot. So actually, good memory foam has higher density than even latex. And this density is pretty much what gives it latex-like performance. Okay, so rather than focusing on the memory effect of the foam, I would advise you better look at the density of the foam. 5 pound foam is basically good. I would not use anything probably less than 5 pounds. There's also there's 6 pound foam that's very uncommon, and I don't know anybody who uses it. There's also 8 pound foam called Venus. I have a sample of it, and to be honest, the difference between the 8 pound and 5 pound wasn't so great, considering it's 3 or 4 times more expensive. I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't recommend the 8 pound because of the price. And even the 5 pound is, the price of it is so close to the price of latex that I also wouldn't recommend. And in fact, I wouldn't recommend any memory foam, because even if mechanically the ability of memory foam to relieve pressure may match or even exceed, although I doubt it, I really doubt that it can exceed, but let's say it can match latex on its ability to relieve pressure. It's still inferior for several reasons. One, because it doesn't breathe the way latex breathes. Now, the higher the density of memory foam, generally speaking, the less it breathes. So with latex, with memory foam, if you want a foam that's high performance mechanically, you're going to get a foam that has no performance when it comes to airflow. It's going to be garbage. On the other hand, when you're looking at Talalay, it has both excellent mechanical performance for relieving pressure as well as excellent airflow performance. So that's already one reason to prefer Talalay over memory foam. Another reason is that Talalay, you can get Talalay as 100% natural substance. Meaning you could probably, I don't know if you can eat Talalay, but you probably could. Because it's completely natural product. It's basically just a juice from the tree that's been mixed with water and cooked. That's all it is. Please don't eat it. Please don't tell anybody that I said that you can that you might try to eat it. Forget it, I even said it. Never mind. But the point is, this is very different from memory foam. Memory foam starts out with a product that's made out of plastic, which is in turn made out of oil. Polyurethane is a plastic. I have dumbbells covered in polyurethane. Actually, polyurethane is the best material to cover dumbbells, but we're not building a dumbbell here. So polyurethane is a plastic. Polyurethane foam is basically foam plastic. Plastic is made out of oil, and to turn polyurethane foam into memory foam, they add tons and tons of chemical crap in it, like various kinds of solvents, which when you buy it, they begin to evaporate back, and you're laying basically on top of let's say if you buy a Tempur-Pedic mattress, you're gonna be laying on top of like maybe 20 pounds of chemicals, which are going to be evaporating constantly into your room, and you're going to be breathing it all night. Your face is going to be into this soup of chemicals, and obviously they're going to say that, oh no, don't worry, it's not going to cause any health problems for you. But fact is, many people do experience health problems from this crap, and you don't know what the long-term effects of all this is going to be. So if you compare Talalay to memory foam, they both relieve the pressure well, but only one of them is also breathable and non-toxic, and the other one is not breathable and toxic. So which one are you gonna choose? So I decided to use only the Talalay. I don't use any memory foam in my mattress, even though I've ordered the samples of all the highest performance memory foams. I have the two best memory foams that you can buy are the Foamex Sensus and Foamex Venus. I have samples of both. I tried them. I still prefer Talalay. Now, aside from the difference between Dunlop and Talalay, latex can also be natural or blended. Natural is what I've described is the tree sap, and blended is when to this sap they add synthetic rubber. Now, even if it was completely synthetic, and blended would usually be about a third natural and 2/3 synthetic, but it depends on the manufacturer. There are two manufacturers in the United States, Radium and Latex International. I believe Latex International uses more natural in their blend. Doesn't matter. Even if it was 100% synthetic, you have to realize that it would still be a completely different product from polyurethane foam, because polyurethane foam is a plastic foam. Latex is a rubber foam, and even if it was 100% synthetic, it would be still synthetic rubber foam, not plastic foam. It would, I think the rubber that they add in there is called SBR, but the R in the SBR means rubber, so it would still be rubber foam. Blended latex foam is still rubber foam, and it's still going to be much nicer, basically, feeling than polyurethane foam, even if it was 100% synthetic. However, pretty much nobody makes 100% synthetic latex. They either make 100% natural or blend of natural and synthetic, and it's called blended. Now, the fact that nobody makes 100% synthetic latex foam for beds should tell you something, is that it probably wouldn't work very well. Otherwise, synthetic is obviously cheaper. The only reason they add synthetic is because it's cheaper. And if it really was just as good, they would just make it 100% synthetic, but nobody does that. Why not? Apparently it doesn't work. It means something is wrong with the synthetic. I'm not just talking about it having a smell or anything like that, but it just does not perform. So the Phoenix from the Mattress Underground actually tries to push this idea that blended Talalay is somehow better than natural Talalay. He says that it makes it more durable. I don't buy this bullshit, okay? It does make it more consistent, because anything natural is always going to be less consistent than anything synthetic. It does make it more consistent, does not make it better, makes it worse. The problem with the Mattress Underground and Phoenix is that he receives money from a company called Brooklyn Bedding, and this company does not carry natural Talalay. They carry only blended. So he cannot tell you that natural is better than blended. He has to tell you that blended is better than natural. But I don't buy this shit. I don't think you should buy this shit either. As the difference in price between natural and blended, if you buy from Arizona Premium Mattress, it's not that great. The problem is that some stores carry one type, some carry the other, so the actual price difference is going to depend on where you buy it from, not so much on what the material is. But if you're looking at the same store, Arizona Premium Mattress, the price is not that, the difference in price is not that big, and I have both. I have both blended and natural, and when I tried them, to me the natural one feels to the touch as higher quality. It also has less smell, so I would suggest that you go for 100% natural, forget the blended stuff. But a blended Talalay is still gonna be a lot better than polyurethane foam, much better. So I guess you could say that the worst Talalay that you can buy is going to be better. That's 100%. The worst Talalay that you can possibly buy, the worst Talalay foam is going to be better than the best polyurethane foam. Now that's you can be sure about. However, between Dunlop and Talalay and between blended and natural, the differences are smaller, but I would still suggest you always go for 100% natural, and I would suggest you go for Talalay for the top and Dunlop for the bottom. Now the Dunlop is usually cheaper, but it's not that much cheaper as well, and cheaper does not mean worse. It doesn't have the same breathability and comfort as I said, but it has more supportiveness. So for the bottom, I would put Dunlop. Even if you can afford the Talalay, I would probably put Dunlop on the bottom. But either one will work well for the bottom. For the top, forget about Dunlop. For the top, you want the Talalay. A final note on rubber versus plastic foam before we go into more detail on parameters is that just think, what is more comfortable to the touch, a piece of plastic or a piece of rubber? The piece of rubber is more comfortable, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you could arrive at the conclusion that rubber foam is superior, but by reading tons of manuals and comparing tons of parameters and listening to experts, etc. Or you can just simply think of a piece of plastic and a piece of rubber, which is more comfortable. A piece of rubber is more comfortable. Rubber is a more comfortable material, and it's still the same for foam. Rubber foam is still more comfortable than plastic foam. Now let's talk about foam parameters in detail. Now the most important foam parameter is the firmness, but it's far from the only one that you need to know. Firmness is measured in ILD, also sometimes called IFD. Actually, ILD and IFD are technically different things, but they are the same. It's sort of like a distinction without a difference. The definitions may be technically different, but in reality it's the same. IFD is in the indentation force deflection, and ILD is in the indentation load deflection. So load and force is the same thing. They're measured the same way, and the way they're measured is an 8-inch disc is pressed into a piece of foam that's 4-inch tall until it's compressed by 25%, meaning by 1 inch. So imagine a dinner plate that's 8 inches, and imagine a mattress that's 4 inches thick, and you press this dinner plate into this mattress until it's 1 inch into this 4-inch mattress. Then they measure the force in pounds, and that's the ILD. So a typical ILD for a mattress core is 36. This means you would need 36 pounds of force to push this dinner plate into this mattress by 1 inch. This is the most important parameter that you need to consider. If you get this one wrong, it doesn't matter what else you get right. It's not going to be comfortable. Simply getting this parameter right doesn't mean you're going to get a good result, but if you get it wrong, guaranteed, you're screwed. I mean, there are foams with ILD figures anywhere from about 7 to over 100. And you're only gonna have something that you can sleep on maybe from about 20 to 40. So, I mean, if you can get foam way outside of that range, and you're just not gonna be able to sleep. So that's the most important parameter. You gotta when you're buying foam, you have to absolutely make sure that you're getting the ILD that you need. The second parameter of the foam that's important is the density. However, the density is only important for polyurethane and polyurethane-based foam, meaning for polyurethane foam and for memory foam, which is based on polyurethane. For latex, density is irrelevant because, well, I'm not going to explain why. Okay, I will explain why. Because latex chemistry is defined by latex itself. You cannot take the tree apart and tell it to produce different chemistry. Latex chemistry is fixed. On the other hand, the chemical crap that polyurethane and memory foam are made of, the chemistry is not fixed. So they can mess around with the chemistry and make it less dense to save money, but it's gonna lower the performance. So basically, for polyurethane and polyurethane based foam, higher density is always higher quality, always, except for the problem which I mentioned, that high density memory foam has less breathability. So it may be better for support and pressure relief, but it's going to be less breathable. But that's why we're not going to use it anyway. But for the very bottom foundation layer of a mattress, if you're looking to use polyurethane foam to save money, go for something that has higher density. I suggest at least basically not less than 2 pounds per cubic foot, and preferably 3. Although the top layer of the mattress is the part that's under most wear and tear, so anything that goes on the bottom is probably not going to be destroyed as easily, so maybe it's not critical on the bottom. On the other hand, on the bottom you want firmer foam, and firmer foam generally means higher density foam. Remember, firmness and density is not the same, but there is a correlation or relationship, but it's not by any means not direct relationship. So bottom line is higher density polyurethane foam is better than low density polyurethane foam. I have 2.5 pound density polyurethane foam on the very bottom 3 inches of my mattress. You can do that if you want. Or even better, you can skip polyurethane foam and just use latex foam all the way down. And as I said, for latex foam, density is irrelevant. Forget it. Just don't even try to look up it in the specs, because even if it says what density it is, it doesn't matter for you. Density is only a factor. I know I said it 100 times, but it's kind of important. Polyurethane foam density equals quality. Latex foam density equals irrelevant. Now, so the ILD, firmness, and density are 2 parameters. Okay, the third parameter that's important is the support factor. I mentioned it before. What is it? The firmness, or ILD, measures how much foam pushes back against you for the first 25% of compression. However, that first 25% does not tell you how it's going to push back once you push in deeper. So once you push back to 65% compression, once you push into 65% compression, they measure the force again, and they compare the 2 forces, how much it increased, and that's the support factor. So a regular polyurethane foam has a support factor of about 2, which means once you compress it from 25% to 65%, the pushback only increases to 2 times. which means it doesn't really increase all that much. So what this means in practice for you is that you have a foam that feels hard on the surface, but once you start falling through it, you just go straight to the bottom because it doesn't have any support. And that's why this support, so that's why they call it the support factor, because it measures the ultimate supporting ability of the foam as compared to the subjective feeling of firmness on the surface. So ILG is basically a subjective feeling of firmness, more or less, while the support factor multiplied by ILD is the ultimate support ability. So you have to look at two of them together. You cannot look at one separately from another, because just because something has a support factor of 4, which is very high, doesn't mean that it's going to be able to support it. It's only if it has the right ILD firmness that you need and the right support factor that you need, then it will support you. If it has wrong ILD or wrong firmness, well, you get the idea. So support factor is the ratio of firmness at 65% compression divided by firmness at 25% compression. So as I said, it's about 2 for regular foam. It's at about 2.5 for foam called high resiliency foam, which is a regular foam but specially made to emulate the performance of latex foam. It's not as good as latex foam. It's simply made to be better than regular foam. High resiliency HR foam, by definition, is a foam that must have support factor of 2.5 or more. And basically this was the attempt by the polyurethane foam industry to produce a foam that wasn't as bad as regular polyurethane foam, but it's still worse than any latex foam. Talalay is also going to have about 2.5 support factor, but it's going to have better other characteristics, and it might be better, more than 2.5 as well. It might be like 2.7. And Dunlop is going to be as much as 4. The support factor of Dunlop is going to be as much as 4. So this is also an important characteristic. Generally speaking, I don't know if a support factor of 4 is necessarily better than a support factor of 2.5, but you probably don't want foam with less than 2.5, unless we're talking about, again, the very foundation where you can use pretty much any foam you want, and the polyurethane foam is going to have 2 or 1.9. And finally, the last performance metric I would address is the breathability. Actually, this is also measured. They also have machines that measure the airflow capacity of the foam. Unfortunately, I was unable to find any sort of industry-wide standard for this. So while, let's say, Foamex Aeros foam states that it has like this many units of breathability, which is like more than the other foam, blah blah blah, but the fact of the matter is they all use their own tests. They do test it, but there doesn't seem to be, or at least I was unable to find any kind of metric like ILD or support factor, which is accepted industry-wide. So I was unable to compare based on specs the breathability of different foams. I did compare it by simply taking a piece of foam and trying to breathe through it, and not surprisingly, Talalay won. But actually the reason it won is because it has the piece of foam has holes going all the way through. So it wasn't a very good experiment. Obviously the latex would win, but if you look at the cell structure, and you don't even need a microscope. If you have good eyes, you can see the cells with your naked eyes, bare eyes. The larger cells of Talalay is basically going to make it more breathable. But you know, within memory foams, this would be something I would say, if you must for some reason use memory foam, after the density, the breathability has to be the second most important thing that you look at, because this is the biggest problem with memory foam, aside from releasing toxic and smelly chemicals and stinking up your place. The second biggest problem with memory foam is it doesn't breathe, but some of them are worse than others, so this would be something you would look at if you were buying memory foam. So what LD of foam do you need? Well, first of all, that's impossible to answer because everybody has a different body type and also different preferences for how people want their bed to feel. But I will say this: you want lower LD or softer foam on the top and higher LD or firmer foam on the bottom. One way you can think of it is that the top of your bed interfaces with the air, and the bottom, which is soft, and the bottom with the wooden bed, which is hard. So that would be logical. You can also think of it this way: you want something that feels soft on the surface, but also supports your weight from sinking all the way down. So that's another way to understand why you want softer foam on the top and firmer, higher LD on the bottom. You can also think of it this way: there is no point putting soft foam on the bottom because right under that soft foam is still going to be hard wood, so it's not going to make it any softer for you. And also there's no point to put firm foam on the top because right under that firm foam there will be softer foam, so you're still going to fall through and it's not going to do anything for you except make you miserable. So generally speaking, you want softer foam on the top, firmer on the bottom. How much should the difference be? How much of a spread in terms of LD? Well, I would suggest you want the LD of the bottom layers of foam divided by LD of the top layer of foam to be about 1.5 to 2. So for example, my mattress has 24 LD on the top and 36 on the bottom. There's also one layer of 50 LD on the very bottom, which doesn't really do anything, but it's just there. So basically, somewhere from 1.5 to 2 would be the ratio of the bottom layers to the top layer for a good, well balanced mattress. This is also what's used by Pure Latex Bliss. Pure Latex Bliss mattresses use 21 LD layer on the top, 24 or 28 LD layer in the middle, and 36 LD layer on the bottom. And the bottom layer in their design is half the thickness of the mattress, and the top two layers are each a quarter. So a Pure Latex Bliss mattress would have, roughly speaking, I'm simplifying, let's say 3 inches of 21 LD, 3 inches of 24 or 28 LD, and 6 inches of 36 LD on the bottom. But they don't do any custom mattresses for your particular body type. Generally speaking, sleeplikethedead.com has an interesting table that shows mattress satisfaction versus mattress thickness versus individual's weight, and basically shows that normal weight individuals can be completely satisfied with a mattress as thin as 9 inches. But as people are more and more heavy, they need more and more thickness to the mattress. So once you're, let's say, about 300 pounds, you already need at least 14 inches of mattress, something like that. And if you're 400 pounds, basically you need the thickest mattress you can find. So aside from LD, you will need to figure out how thick you want your mattress. Mine is 16 inches, but the bottom 3 inches don't really do much. So you can say mine is 13 inches. 13 inches is about the average for Tempur-Pedic mattresses, so it's a reasonable thickness for a mattress. Now, so you will need to figure out how thick it needs to be. You can try to find the table on the sleeplikethedead.com to figure it out, but generally speaking, 12 inches is a good size, thickness of mattress. Then you will need to figure out the LD generally speaking, of the mattress that you want. I mean, there's gonna vary from top to bottom, but like well, let's say what should right. So basically, as I said, Pure Latex Bliss does not make custom mattresses. They make like one size fit all mattress, meaning the firmness is the same for everybody, and their mattress is 21 on the top to 36 on the bottom. I tried it. It was a little bit firm for me, but most people like firm mattresses. The reason most people like firm mattresses is because mattresses get softer over time, so people like to buy firmer first, considering that it will get softer. However, higher quality materials will last longer. Theoretically, latex should last longer than polyurethane foam, which means that maybe you don't need to dial in so much extra firmness from the beginning, although latex still does break in, so it will be softer. It will get softer. So you know, that's sort of I guess I don't have any formula for you on this, but your best, absolutely the best thing you can do is find the Pure Latex Bliss retailer or dealer. In my case, I went to Long Island in a place called Sleepworks NY. And you have to try the Pure Latex Bliss latex mattresses that they have, and you have to spend a lot of time trying them out so you can really get a good idea of what you feel. Write everything down, every single detail of what you experience, and then go to the mattress.underground.com and find their table that shows the different layer combinations for every single model of Pure Latex Bliss mattresses. Now I happen to more or less remember what values they have for different models, but you don't know, so you should find out. Find that information, try those models, and then you have to figure out, do you want something that's firmer, then adjust the Pure Latex Bliss design accordingly to make it firmer. Do you want something softer, etc. Basically, Pure Latex Bliss mattresses, all of them have a 6-inch base out of 36 ILD. Pure Latex Bliss is 100% pure Talalay from bottom to top, so that's why this is the one you want to be looking at. You don't want to be comparing foam to you don't want to be comparing ILDs of polyurethane foam to ILDs of latex, because latex has higher support factors, so it's not going to feel the same. Also, for the same ILD figure, latex feels softer to the touch, but is more supportive. So this is why you cannot really you cannot go to the store and try a mattress that's made out of foam and find out what's the ILD of the foam it has and then get latex in that foam. No, if you're going to be making a latex mattress, you have to try a latex mattress in the store and find out which ILD firmness levels it has before you can decide what ILD firmness level your latex mattress should be. You have to compare latex to latex, because latex, as I said, is softer. For the same exact ILD as polyurethane foam, latex will feel softer on the surface but be more supportive down in the deep, which is why which is one of many reasons why latex is superior, because you want something that feels soft but is supportive, that's what you get with latex. So when you go to test the mattress in the store, and Phoenix from Mattress Underground actually did a good write-up on this one. He wrote how you should test it. You cannot test it for a short period of time. You cannot test it for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You have to spend at least an hour on your mattress, about 15 minutes minimum in each position, because if there is any discomfort you're going to feel, you're not going to feel it right away. You could lie down on the floor and be completely, just try this experiment, just lay down on the floor and you will be comfortable for a few minutes, but after a while it's going to become more and more uncomfortable, then it's going to become painful, then it's going to become intolerable, and you will need to change position. You're not going to be able to lay down on the floor, let's say face down, for an hour. You're going to have no problem for a few minutes, but then it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And this is what you want. You want the testing, your testing when you go to the store to reflect what you will actually feel when you wake up. And this is not going to be the same as what you feel when you first lay down on the mattress. Almost any mattress will feel good, even a very bad mattress, when you first lay down. It's when you wake up after having spent 8 hours in it, that's when you're going to have the pain. So you have to test it for a long period of time. This is also going to allow you to understand whether it feels hot. Also, if you're testing memory foam mattresses, memory foam, as it heats up from your body heat, it gets softer. So the memory foam mattress may feel firm when you lay on it at first, but after a few minutes it may feel softer. So that's another reason why you should test it for a long period of time. Now, what you should feel if a mattress is doing its job is you should not feel any pain or pressure, but at the same time your back should have the same shape as it does when you're standing up in good posture. So think when you're standing up in good posture, your back is not straight. It has an S curve. Look it up. You can look on images online on what the proper posture and proper back shape should be. Try to stand up in good posture, and then when you're laying down in every single position, whether on the side, on the back, on the front, try to figure out what shape your back is in. And your back should not be flat, it should be this S shape. So when you do the testing in the store, figure out which type of basically the Pure Latex Bliss has thinner and thicker mattresses, and the thicker mattresses have more softer layers on the top. They all have the same bottom layer, but they figure out which one works best for you. Find out what ILD firmness layers it has, and then figure out, do you want firmer, softer, and that's when you're gonna know which kind of layers you need. However, no matter what you think you need, you will always be wrong, because it's just how it works. People always they go to the store, they test it out, they think they know exactly what they need, and when they actually get it, they figure out that it doesn't feel the same way. There can be many reasons for this. One is that any foam, including latex, breaks in, so it's firmer at first and it's softer. Another reason is that when you sleep in a bed, you sleep for a longer period of time. Even if you spend an hour in the store, an hour is still a lot less than 8 hours. And finally, another reason why your particular mattress is going to feel different from the store one, even if it uses exactly the same layers, is because the store mattress is going to have a cover, and the cover affects the feel greatly. You cannot overemphasize this. The cover really changes how it feels. Like if you take the mattress, like Pure Latex Bliss, cut the cover off and lay straight on the foam, it will feel much softer. The cover is like a sail, which captures sort of the force of the foam and lifts you up. So you will fall in much deeper without the cover. When you do your testing with your layers that you purchased, you have to do the testing with the exact cover type and that you will be using in the end. For example, I'm using Snug Fleece Elite Wool Pad and Sweet Sleep Organic Cotton Stretch mattress cover. So I should have been doing all of my testing with those already on, but I didn't have them yet, so I couldn't. And when I put them on, it felt much firmer than without them. Also, when I ordered my toppers, by toppers I mean layers, the cheapest layer that I could find was actually with the cover, and the cover was not removable. So I started testing with the cover on, and then I cut it off. And when I cut the cover off, again, it became much softer. So you have to be aware of this. You cannot be testing your layers with some kind of cover on and then remove it later, or add the cover later. And you have to have during your testing phase no more and no less top cover layers or anywhere in between layers of fabric or anything like that than you will have in the end, because otherwise the firmness that you will experience is going to be completely different from what you will eventually experience. You have to test it exactly as it's going to be in the end. So figure out what you're going to put on top from the beginning, and don't have anything else. Don't be like sleeping on this. Don't be testing a stack of toppers that each has its own cover. Remove all those covers that you're not going to be using right away. Even more than that is, I was testing my mattress on and we're talking now about the mattress that I was building. I was testing it on a wooden frame that was flexy, and thank God I figured it out that the bed frame was affecting the feel of the mattress. So I removed it from the frame, took the frame out, and put the mattress straight on the concrete floor, and it changed the feeling of the mattress completely. Where before I felt like it was sagging in the middle and maybe it felt like an old worn out mattress, as soon as that was actually, I thought it was the mattress fault. Actually it was the bed frame which was flexing in the middle. When I put it on solid surface on the floor, it felt much more supportive and just much more solid and much better. So you have to make sure you're testing your mattress on a good surface. Don't put it on some kind of squeaky, flexible bed. Put it on a solid surface. Remove all the covers that you're not going to be using. Put on all the covers that you will be using, and test it this way. So, like when you go to the store, you will have a general idea what you need, but you're not really gonna know. I mean, you're gonna have an idea, but it's probably gonna be wrong. But it's gonna be a place for you to start. So when you have the idea of what you need, then you order layers like one or two at a time. Don't order all of the layers at once, because you're gonna make a mistake and you're gonna be screwed. Because the top layers are always gonna be softer and the bottom are always gonna be firmer, it's probably a good idea to start from the middle. So let's say I have in my mattress 24 on the top, 28 in the middle, and 26 on the bottom. So it would probably be a good idea to order the 28 layer first, and then you would have an option. If you wanted to go firmer, you could use this as a top layer and put firmer layers on the bottom. Or if you wanted to go softer, you could use this on the bottom. You could use the 28 as the bottom layer and put softer layers on the top. So don't buy all of the layers at once. Buy the middle layers first. This way you will have some wiggle room to adjust your design according to how, in your initial testing, it feels. If you think it's going to be too firm or too soft, you can finish the design either up or down in firmness. Now there's something else you have to consider, and that's a question of resiliency versus hysteresis. Resiliency is basically bounciness, and hysteresis is basically memory effect. So the two are obviously the opposites of each other. Now the funny thing is, of course, that latex is famous for its resilience and memory foam is famous for its hysteresis. The two are the opposite. The regular foam is the regular like cheapest kind of foam, the kind of you find in, let's say, car seats. The polyurethane foam is actually in between the two. it has the regular foam, it has a little bit of memory, but it's so insignificant that most people don't even realize that it's there. But when you try the latex foam and see how bouncy it is, and how you will realize that regular foam actually has a little bit of memory compared to pure 100% natural Talalay, which is bouncy almost like a fucking basketball. So and the memory foam is obviously the opposite. It's like, when it's high quality, high density foam, it's like goo. So the funny thing is, both makers of the memory foam and of the latex advertise and hype this quality as desirable, but these qualities are the opposites of each other. So the sellers of memory foam say, oh, the memory foam is so awesome because it has so much memory, and the makers of the latex say, oh, latex is so great because it doesn't have any memory, so it bounces around. Well, you shouldn't be surprised at this, because marketing people they don't do anything except lie and try to do their best to confuse the customer, and basically all of this marketing hype is total bullshit. So that's not the surprising parts. But what, marketing aside, what is the reality? What do you actually want? Well, the reality is you want something in the middle, because when you have too much memory effect, what happens is, now this is not common. This only happens with very expensive Tempur-Pedic beds, because most so-called memory foam mattresses actually don't have a lot of memory foam in there, only like 2 or 3 inches on the top, and the memory foam that they have is not real memory foam. It's just regular foam that pretends to be memory foam. So the problem of having too much memory in your mattress is not common, because most people cannot afford the mattress that really has too much memory, like a Tempur-Pedic Grand Bed, which is like $8,000 for a mattress. That would be like a kind of mattress where you just get stuck in it and that's it, and you can't get out of it. It's like a trap. You try to move and you can't, because it formed an impression around you and you can't get out of it. This is a huge problem, because while it is very comfortable to sleep in a mattress that cradles you in this way, the problem is when you sleep, let's say you're sleeping on one side and you're starting to experience pain in this one side, or maybe you're starting to experience numbness because you've cut off your blood flow to one of your arms, so you want to turn to the other side, right? So that you don't keep hurting this side, or so blood can get into this side while you sleep on the other side, whatever. You need to be able to freely turn while you sleep. If you can't, you're gonna be in more pain than you need to be, and you're gonna end up with more like dead arms when you wake up than you really need to have. So too much memory is a problem, but no memory whatsoever from the latex is also a problem, because what happens is then your bed feels like it's a water bed, or like it's an air bed. It feels like you're sleeping on a basketball. You cannot settle down into a position where you don't move, because let's say if you're on an air bed, like I'm not talking about, I don't know, maybe there are fancy air beds that don't have this problem. But if you're looking at like a normal air bed that's like $100, right? As soon as you make the slightest movement, everything begins to move and you can never stop. The same problem with the old school free flow water beds. Like as soon as you make the slightest movement, everything begins to move. You cannot stop moving, right? Well, you're gonna have the same problem, not to the same great extent. It's gonna be, of course, the effect is gonna be maybe like 1/10 or 1/100th as pronounced, but it's gonna be the same problem, that if your mattress is so resilient, meaning so bouncy, when you make the slightest movement, the movement doesn't stop immediately, right? And you don't feel grounded, you don't feel secure or stable. And while the movement themselves may not actually even be perceptible to somebody who's looking at you from the side. Let's say somebody's watching you sleep and they may not even see that you moved, right? But your brain knows, because your brain has the balance mechanism of your brain, it detects very slight movements. So your brain knows that you're not on a stable platform because it detects these slight movements, and it doesn't let you sleep, because your brain is not going to let you sleep until you feel solidly grounded. And this is a problem. So on a pure latex bed, maybe some people will not have this problem, but when I tried the pure latex bliss in the store, I was trying to take a nap in the store, just to see how I would feel when I wake up, and I couldn't, because I couldn't settle down. I felt like I'm suspended on some sort of magnetic field. I didn't feel stable because the latex, the Talalay latex, is so springy and so bouncy that you can't feel quite stable. So what's the solution to all of this? You don't want too much memory foam, you don't want too much latex. Some people in the past, what some people did is they made a mattress with a bunch of Talalay for comfort and for health and for durability and for everything else, and then they would put a layer of memory foam on top just to stop yourself from bouncing around. A layer of memory material on top will go a long way towards stopping you from rolling around like a bowling ball on your mattress. But the problem with this is that it defeats a lot of the benefits of latex, because you're gonna put a chemical full of chemical layers that smells, that doesn't breathe on top of. Does it really make sense to have, let's say, $2,000 worth of latex that's pure and breathable on the bottom, and then on top of it put a layer that stinks, that releases toxic chemicals and that doesn't breathe, and you're laying on top of it and you're hot because your skin cannot breathe through it? It's retarded, right? It sucks. It's a waste. In a sense, putting memory foam on top of Talalay is a waste of Talalay, right? But on the other hand, you have to do something to stop yourself from bouncing around. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe you don't have this problem. Go to the store, try it for yourself to find out if this is an issue for you. Some people never complain about this. They just buy a pure latex mattress and oh my god, I love it, the best thing ever. But other people buy it and the next day they wake up and this was terrible. I couldn't sleep because it's so bouncy. So this is very individual. You try to find out for yourself. For me, it was the bounciness was a problem. But there is a solution, and the solution is Talalay GL. Talalay GL, more specifically Talalay GL slow recovery. So there is now, and this is very, very, very new, there is now a memory Talalay, a form of Talalay which has memory. And I have videos where I demonstrate this material. You search my channel, there are 2 videos where I demonstrate this material. I have 2 3-inch layers of this material on top. So the top 6 inches of my mattress are slow recovery Talalay GL. And what Talalay GL is, the slow recovery latex to regular latex is not like memory foam to regular foam. You're probably thinking, well, memory foam is just regular foam with memory, and Talalay latex is just regular Talalay with memory. You're only half right. Slow recovery Talalay is indeed just Talalay with memory. However, regular memory foam is not a regular foam with memory, because regular foam, as I said, is 1.5 pounds per cubic foot of density, and memory foam is 5 pounds per cubic foot of density. Memory foam is very different from regular foam. It's completely different animal. but Talalay slow recovery is very similar to regular Talalay, but with memory. So this is why a regular memory foam costs maybe 3 or 4 times as much as regular polyurethane foam, but Talalay GL actually costs about the same as regular. Talalay GL slow recovery costs about the same as Talalay with no memory, maybe a little bit more. So it's actually an awesome deal, and it still has the benefit of having a lot less chemicals in it than memory foam, because memory foam is 100% chemical shit, and Talalay slow recovery is gonna have some chemicals in it, but at least it's not gonna be 100% chemicals. It's gonna have some in it and some natural latex and some synthetic rubber, but it's still much better off than memory foam, and it will still have the benefit of breathability of Talalay, because it will still have this large cell structure of Talalay compared to memory foam. And finally, it will have it will also have the advantage of latex that memory foam doesn't have, and that's support. When I was talking to you about the ILDs that you want, and you probably want like 21 on top and 36 on the bottom, well, guess what? You do want about 21 on the top, and the Talalay GL slow recovery is 24, so it's there. But memory foam is all from about 10 to 13. Basically, none of the memory foam even has the firmness that you need. It's just putting a top of you. This is why many people, when they buy memory foam toppers, they are greedy and they try to get like a 5-inch topper, and then they realize that they fall right through this 5 inches because it has no support, and it just swallows them when they're sweating, and it's disgusting. And when they get the next topper, they go thinner, because actually the memory foam that you can buy, it has so little support that you can only use a very thin layer of it before it ruins basically your bed by having too much of material that's too soft. Like I said, you can have soft on the very top, but once you go deeper, it needs to start getting more supportive. And when you get a thick layer of memory foam, it doesn't get supportive, because memory foam cannot provide polyurethane-based memory foam cannot provide support. Therefore, you cannot really use much of it. But with slow recovery Talalay GL, its ILD is 24, so it's much firmer, and it still has the support factor of Talalay. So I'm using 6 inches of it, and it's fine. I wouldn't recommend you use 6 inches. I recommend you use just one layer, 3 inches. Probably will work better for you, but it's more supportive than memory foam, and it's also more breathable. It's also less full of toxic chemicals. I have 2 videos demonstrating it. Go watch them. This, to me, I'm very lucky that this material exists, because without it, if slow recovery Talalay GL didn't exist, I would need to make a serious compromise in the design of my mattress. But since it exists, thank God, I don't have to make that compromise. So my mattress has slow recovery Talalay GL on top, Talalay in the middle, and regular polyurethane foam on the very bottom, 3 inches. And this way my mattress achieves sort of a middle ground between having too much memory and too little. Like, I can turn, but I don't bounce around. So, but you probably will not want to have 6 inches of slow recovery. You probably will want only 3 inches of Talalay GL. It's probably going to feel better. Also, I regret that I put. Let me just tell you what layers my mattress has, the one that I've built. top 3 inches slow recovery Talalay GL 24 LD. Second layer, also 3 inches, also 24 LD Talalay GL slow recovery. Another 3 inches layer, 100% natural Talalay. Next 2 inches, the natural Talalay is 28 ILD. The next 2 inches also 28 ILD Talalay but blended. The next 2 inches is 36 ILD Talalay blended. And the next 3 inches is 50 ILD high density polyurethane foam. So this is what I have, and it's comfort. I'm 100% happy with it. But if I was doing it again, I would skip completely all of the blended crap. It's good enough. I don't have it like on. It's in my bed. It's doing its job. Everything is fine. But if I could do it again, I would go for where I'm using blended Talalay. I would use natural Talalay because it's better. Even though they're both good, but natural is better. And I wouldn't use any polyurethane foam on the bottom because it's firm. I would use on the bottom 100% natural Dunlop, because Dunlop would be just as supportive as the layer I have now, but the layer of polyurethane foam I have now. But the way my current layer achieves this support is by being hard as a rock. The Dunlop would still be softer to the touch while also having the supportiveness that I need down there. So if I was doing it again, I would put Dunlop on the bottom, 100% natural Dunlop on the bottom. I would put 100% natural Talalay in the middle, and I would put slow recovery Talalay GL on top. And I would probably shoot for 15 inches total profile. I would probably put 6 inches of 36 ILD Dunlop on the bottom, 6 inches of 28 ILD natural Talalay in the middle, and 3 inches of 24 ILD slow recovery Talalay on top. Now you can get everything, any latex except the slow recovery you can get in pretty much any ILD you want. Slow recovery so far I only found in 24 ILD, but this is a good ILD for the top layer, and you would only want to use this layer on the top, so there's no problem. Use the 24 ILD layer on the top. I would use 28 ILD natural Talalay in the middle and 36 ILD natural Dunlop on the bottom. You might want to do something else. As I said, you have to try stuff in the store, like buy layers, experiment, decide what layers you should add, blah 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 blah. But keep in mind, most of the time you cannot return any of these things. I managed actually to return one layer, but that's an exception. Usually you cannot return Talalay because it's just too heavy. The shipping is too expensive, so returning the stuff is basically pointless. Also, when they ship it to you, they vacuum seal it so it becomes small, and when you ship it back you can't vacuum seal it, so return shipping is ridiculous. So most likely they're not gonna let you return anything. So instead of buying everything at once and being stuck with pieces you cannot use, buy some of the layers that you're more confident about, and then buy the rest when you figure out whether that's what you really need. All right, so that's about it. People also ask me, like, where do you buy this stuff? Like, what store do you recommend? I don't want to sound like an advertisement, so I'm not really going to spend much time on it. That I was dealing with 4 stores. With one of them I had terrible experience. I had to do credit card chargeback, and I was banned from the Mattress Underground for even mentioning that I have this problem, because Mattress Underground is a pretty corrupt place. So when I said that I had this major problem with the seller, they banned me. The Phoenix banned me, but I was able to do credit card chargeback, and I wrote this place. The one that I had a problem with is foamonline.com. I would suggest never buy anything from them. They're fucking idiots. I had to write 11 pages of letter to my credit card, and eventually, I mean, the credit card refunded me the money right away, but it took like another 2 months before I received the final notice saying that your refund is permanent, you will keep your money. Basically, those guys go fuck themselves. They sent me wrong product. Now, I'm sure they didn't mean to send me the wrong foam. They sent the piece of foam that I ordered from Foam Online should have weighed 16 pounds. I received a piece that weighed 5 pounds. Now, I don't know what happened there, but they wouldn't take it back. They wouldn't refund me my money. I went through the credit card. I got my money back. Fuck them. I'll never deal with them again. Now, this was a. I wouldn't say that Phoenix recommended this place, but this place was mentioned on the form, the Mattress Underground. The main store that is pushed by the Mattress Underground is Brooklyn Bedding, and I did order some Brooklyn Bedding pieces, and I have to say, despite the fact that it was recommended by this person who I consider to be a crook and a criminal, well, maybe not a criminal, no, he's not a criminal, but he is a very dishonest individual, this Phoenix guy, because when he banned me, after he banned me, he wrote a story about me on his forum, which was complete fabrication. So maybe it's not a crime, but it's really shitty behavior. So even though Brooklyn Bedding was recommended by Phoenix from the Mattress Underground, I have to say that my experience with their customer support has been excellent. They are actually the ones who took my foam back and refunded me, and this is basically unprecedented. So, that's good. Problem is the quality of their product I don't really like. Their covers are crap. Their latex isn't natural. They don't offer an option of natural latex. All of their latex is blended. So, I wouldn't recommend it. Even though their service is excellent and their prices are good, but their product is it's not terrible, but it's well, their covers are terrible, but their latex is only so because it's not natural. So definitely don't use Foam Online. Brooklyn Bedding, you can use depending on what you want. The one store that I use for regular polyurethane foam, and they are excellent. The store is excellent, but once again, polyurethane foam is crap. Like I used it before because it's cheap, but I wouldn't really use it again. But if you want to use polyurethane foam, the store I use is foamexpress1.com, which is also the same as foamforyou.com. Foam for You is less suitable. It's the same company, but they have different design websites. The foamforyou.com is not very suitable for mattresses because they basically sell foam cut to size, and because it's custom, it costs more. But foamexpress1.com is their branch that sells standard like queen size, etc. Foams, which works out much cheaper, and it's the same foam and it's the same company. So they have great foam, great price, great for polyurethane foam, be very clear. They have good polyurethane foam, which means garbage compared to latex. But if you want good polyurethane foam that's cheap and high quality, foamexpress1.com, right? But at the end of the day, where I would go, if I was doing everything again, I would buy every single piece from Arizona Premium Mattress, every single piece of foam, despite the fact that their service is absolutely terrible. I had to wait 3 or 4 weeks for my orders to arrive. I didn't have to wait so much with anybody else except Foam Online, which waited for like 5 weeks and then sent me the wrong order. I mean, Foam Online is just off the charts bad, but Arizona Premium Mattress, the service is pretty bad as well. I mean, I had to wait a long time to get my foam, but the foam that they have is excellent. They have 100% natural Talalay, which is outstanding. They have the slow recovery Talalay GL, which is outstanding, and they have 100% natural Dunlop as well, which I haven't tried, but I would guess it's probably excellent as well. I mean, their service is crap, but their prices are like okay. I did receive everything that I ordered. They didn't make any mistakes, except they actually sent me a cover for free, which I didn't ask by mistake. So that was a mistake, but it wasn't bad for me, it was bad for them. So on the whole, if I was doing it again, I would buy everything from Arizona Premium Mattress. Not because I like their service, I really don't, but simply because they happen to stock the types of foam which would be best for me to use. I mean, they let's say Brooklyn Bedding has much better service, but Brooklyn Bedding has only blended latex, and I don't want blended latex. It's garbage. I mean, it's not bad, but why use blended when you can get natural? Arizona Premium has natural, both Talalay and Dunlop, whichever one you like. I would use both. I would use Talalay in the middle and Dunlop on the bottom. 100% natural, I would order both. They have it both. They do have it in the firmness levels that you would want them in, and they have the slow recovery. I mean, like, I'm seriously not advertising Arizona Premium Mattress. I'm telling you, a terrible fucking, like, I had to wait for weeks, and because like when you're building this mattress, you have nowhere to sleep on because you understand, you're building one bed, but you cannot just put the piece of foam into a closet while you're waiting for the next piece of foam. These pieces of foam are huge and they're very heavy, so you just have to keep them on the floor. You have to have an extra an entire room just to put the stuff on the floor so you can test it, because it's so heavy you cannot move it around all the time. And while it's there, you're waiting for this next piece of foam to arrive, and you're waiting week, 2 weeks, and it's not there. I mean, I had to wait, like, I ordered 3 pieces from Arizona Premium, and every single one I had to wait at least 2 weeks. I had to wait to like 2 or 3 weeks for those pieces of foam. So it was I'm not advertising the store, but in my experience, it is the store where in the end I was able to find the product that really works for me. So if I was doing it again, I would buy everything from Arizona Premium, simply because they have the type of foam that I'm looking for. Now, if you can find the same foam somewhere else, go ahead, I don't care. But people did ask me, like, where should I buy? So I don't know where. You can buy it wherever you want. I would buy it from Arizona Premium simply because I've already had to deal with them before, and even though it was pretty horrible, well, not horrible, but it was pretty annoying. But as the saying goes, better the devil you know. So since I already had to deal with them before, I would get it there again. But where you want to get your foam, up to you. Thanks for watching.